Hey everybody, Dave Schroeder here, back with our next edition of Newrez Voices. And have we got a treat for you today? We have Lori Churs, one of my absolute favorite people in the whole world, an amazing salesperson, just a force of positivity. So I'm so excited to speak with you today. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So yeah, let's just start from the beginning so that people get a chance to know you a little bit. Tell us about yourself. How did you get started in the business and how did you end up here at Newrez?
Oh my goodness. It's been a long road. It started back in 1992, if you can believe that. Probably like everybody in the mortgage business, you stumbled upon it. There's probably I don't know, 0.0% of people that actually intentionally went into the mortgage business. So in 1992, my then boyfriend, I guess we'll call him, my now husband, we decided we're going to move from Southern Oregon to the big town of Portland, Oregon. And I was like, well, I'll just take the first job I get. And it was a receptionist at a mortgage company. And so I didn't know anything about mortgages. I remember a time I was answering phones and somebody called in and wanted to discuss their mortgage insurance. And I actually thought that they was like somebody had died. Like it was, like life insurance if you die and you pay off your mortgage. But from there, I just seemed to make it through all of the ups and downs and layoffs. They'd come to me and say, well, Lori, if you want to keep your job, have to work the lock desk, do loan documents, answer phones. And I'd be like, all right. Really, my background was those several years in operations, learning every function. And that's what led me into sales. I interviewed with a bunch of companies and landed on Caliber. Caliber was the best fit. I really wanted a company in Oregon that wasn't in Oregon because I wanted to make it my own. That's where my home base is in Oregon. And of course, the roads led to Newrez, and here we are now.
That that is awesome. And I think that's so important. Two things that I feel like really resonate from what you were saying. One is just anybody can do great in mortgage. It's just hustle and persistence and
Yeah.
staying with it. And then the other part is being able to do all the different things. And then so that you bring it all together and you kind of have that holistic view of how everything's important and being able to, I think, appreciate all the people who are in those roles today that are supporting great salespeople like yourself, but also when partners are asking questions, it's not just this one thing, how the whole process and setting expectations. So yeah, that is like one
Absolutely.
thing I would tell young people, or I do tell young people, is just take it all in, take as many opportunities as you can get. When people give you more responsibility, embrace it right away.
I mean, it truly is a gift. Of course, back then I didn't know it was a gift. I was just in the moment, you're just grateful, like, okay, I can just keep my job. But looking back, what a gift it is on the job training. It's free training. There's no school of mortgage. It's just really on the job training. So,
That's right. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm sure people can feel it already in getting to know you here is just the energy that you have, the just the positive kind of feel that always comes off. And I just wanted to, you and I have talked about it in the past, but maybe you can share with the audience, like, what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis to make sure that you're at your best when the starting bell goes off in the morning and to maintain it throughout the day, every day?
lots of caffeine. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, just I love listening to podcasts, very motivational podcasts. I do feel that your tank can go down during the
Right.
week, so I love to listen to motivational podcasts. Love me some Ed Milet, love Mel Robbins. Just to fill that cup up. I think that daily exercise is important. We could spend so much of our day either on the phone like this or hunched over a computer or driving around. So just, getting out, making sure that you're taking care of yourself because I feel like if you start with yourself, then you have more to give to everybody else. And so really filling that up and then that gives you more to give out to everybody else.
Right. Right. And, people talk about work-life balance. And I know you're one of the hardest working people. So how do you view that of like, you do all the right things, if you will, of exercise and time with your family and podcasts and work, but you also work a lot. We all see that and feel that. So how do you look on that question of work-life balance?
Well, you know, the balance is tough. I'm not gonna lie, the balance is tough, but I do start my day very early. So you have to fit in as much as you can. My alarm is set for 4:40 every morning. You just got to get after it. So
Yeah.
if you give yourself more hours, then you can usually fit most everything in.
Well, and I mean, I think the thing that I feel from you and I try to apply in my own life, it's balance, but maybe more it's alignment. Like I do what I love. I love the people that I work with. I feel like I have purpose in what I do. And my family understands that as well.
Yes.
They see it,
Yes.
they're a part of it. And I think that's kind of where you come from as well. So it's not that there's some perfect ratio of it. It's just a matter of making sure that it's all in there and it's the right mix for me.
Absolutely. I know. Well, when my kids lived at home, and before we had AirPods, we'd have the little Bluetooth that you double tap on your ear. And when my kids were in high school and they'd have their friends over and they'd be like, "Oh, well, let me show you how it is to talk to my mom." And we'll be talking to my mom, and then she'll be like, "This is Lori." So there's, not a lot of life work balance, but hey, that's what pays the bills. So you got to be
Right.
available and and then I'll be like, okay, now I can continue talking.
Right.
So yeah, the double tap
I
on the
love
old
that.
Bluetooth was amazing. So
Yes, that's great. Um, I think another thing that people talk about when it comes to, what makes you special and why partners rely on you so much is just your expertise, and as online resources become more available, there's a lot of things people can get online looking up but you have kind of this encyclopedia kind of memory of guidelines and how the process works and all this thing. So it gives people confidence that you can deliver it conversationally. And I think everyone would love to have that, but that takes, a lot of hard work, I would imagine. But how have you managed to kind of learn all those things and stay up to date the way that you do to be kind of that one-stop resource for so many partners?
well, just always diving into the guidelines. We have a million resources at Newrez as far as underwriting scenario desk, leadership. Anybody's always willing to jump on the phone with you. I try not to ever pass the calls off or the emails off because I want to learn that for myself.
Mhm.
And then I repeat it out. I also keep updated on guidelines with monthly calls with my top customers. We review all of the updates that have come along all month. And then, as the month goes, I'll jot down top questions. Maybe it's something with, I don't know, non-QM or, assets as income or, whatever the flavor of the month is. I always just try to jot those down and we re-review those. So, it's just repetition. It's a lot of jumping in the selling guide, reading all regs. I mean, it's not glamorous by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just a lot of repetition. It's asking the right questions. And I remember super thick tax returns. And, I'd be out in brokers' offices and they'd want to send in copy packages because that was the glamour word for the day. And I'd be like, oh, why are you sending those in? Just, we have stated income, great programs. If the tax returns were too thick, you didn't go that route. So immediately I went down and I took a 2-day class on tax returns because I'm like, we're going to have to know how to read tax returns. And sure enough, one of my long standing customers now, he invited me into his office. This is years ago. And he says, let me know if you can do this loan. And I looked down and, it was tax returns that are yay thick, but when you know how to do tax returns, you only pull out certain pages, they're not as intimidating. And so, I did his income for him and he says, okay, well, now you get my loans because I was looking for somebody that could analyze tax returns and not just say, I'm going to send them to an underwriter. So, just knowing the basic skills of analyzing tax returns, getting into all regs, I think that it immensely will help everything.
Yeah, I love that. Kind of like purposeful delegation, that you use the resources we have, but you're not letting that knowledge go as far as what you can learn from it to be better next time.
Well,
And I love the fact that
absolutely.
you proactively took the 2-day class. I think that's something, that I try to encourage, again, folks that ask of how you can build a career. And one of them is that you have to invest in yourself. I mean, nobody's
Mhm.
going to do it for you. And there's only so much you can learn by sitting in meetings or whatnot. Sometimes you've got to go take the class for yourself, or go
Do.
find the things on YouTube. But we live in such an amazing time where you can get better if you want to all the time.
Absolutely. And I think that you can just get into a where there's just so much that you can learn that you just don't even know where to start. And it's really to start with the basics,
Yeah.
the basics of how to put a loan together. And, the first part of it is income. So that's a
Yeah.
very big part of it. So
Yeah, and the other thing, I guess, as you were saying that too, that you mentioned before, that's probably a good tip for everybody, is asking questions. Just, if you don't understand something, ask. Don't let
yep,
that opportunity slip by. Make sure that you really understand how the business works, how the process works, all these kind of things. And I
absolutely.
find 99 times out of 100, people are happy to answer your questions. It makes them feel good too.
Oh, for sure. Newrez is amazing, but also if I understand the process, then I can understand we're like, well, maybe we could have looked at it this way or this way. And that's where I add value to the system. If it was just a simple widget going through the process that I couldn't add value to it at all, then there's no need for me. So just making sure that I understand guidelines, my broker partners understand the guidelines, and then we can make sure that the widget does move on through very smooth. So
That's right. Yeah. So we're talking about like how to be the best. And you have, so many great broker partners that you've worked with over the years, and probably some not so great ones as well. So with that in mind, what stands out to you? Like, are there consistent things you see with great originators, and how they develop their business, how they manage the experience, all those kind of things?
absolutely. Number one is just being nice and friendly to everybody. The whole Newrez team is really excited to find ways to solve problems and close loans, and really the top originators know how to communicate. They know their guidelines. They help collaborate on the guidelines. So, the best broker partners are ones who are problem solvers with us. So really the best broker partners are ones that are there to collaborate and learn and, okay, well, this didn't work out, but teach me how to do the next one so we don't have this problem type of a thing. And they just love our ops team. So I would honestly say above knowing any underwriting guidelines is working with the ops team because that's crucial. So
Yeah.
it makes a big difference.
you know, Partnership is one of those words that a lot of people throw around in different ways. But to your point, when it really works well, it's because both sides truly do view it as a partnership, whether it's originator and lender in our case, or it's ops and sales. When there's a real collaboration and a genuine kind of listening and sharing of information and partnership in the process, boy, that's when the magic happens.
Oh, absolutely. Totally agree.
So Lori, we've been around the business for a while. There's a lot of great competitors, worthy adversaries that we compete with every day. And I'm sure you answer this question all the time. So give us the pitch. What makes Newrez different and better? And what's kind of the profile that brokers should be looking for when they consider us?
So what makes Newrez better is honestly the people. So, at the end of the day, we're all selling a mortgage. That's what we're selling. So to differentiate yourself, it's the people that are behind me. So, I go out there, I try to be the face of Newrez, but really everybody at Newrez is in sales. We're all in sales together. So what makes Newrez different is that our ops team, our sales team, everybody works with the same goals. We have the same meetings every other Friday. Ops and sales gets together. Everybody's is in tune with the same goals and direction of the company, and I think that comes through with our brokers. In addition to that, Newrez is hyper focused on our technology. So the technology just keeps getting better and better. So I think that definitely comes through when a broker has used us for years or is just new to Newrez. The ease of using our technology is there for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the technology, and you've been a great advocate of this, is it's always getting better, like you say, and it gets better because of the feedback of our brokers, whether it's
Yep.
um events that we formal events that we have because we ask for broker feedback, or they provide it to you and you give it to us. And I know
Yep.
whenever I read a survey that has specific feedback about our tech, I'm kind of excited about it. I'm like, hey, read this, and forward it to people about, hey, we should do this. Our technology does continue to get better, and that folks who have feedback should keep giving it to their AEs and whatnot, because we listen, we want to get better, we want to evolve with our partners.
Completely agree. And Newrez is so open to hearing feedback, making adjustments. If we can't make an adjustment today, at least we know why. And hey, it's going to be in, third quarter or whatever it is. But, the brokers definitely play a huge part in that.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, I know you're always kind of evolving and finding new ways to grow your business and expand the value that you provide to partners. And one of the ways I saw you doing that over the last year was going deeper on our smart product and non-QM. You started having broker of the week seminars and those kind of things that were really innovative and interesting, because you're already on the top of the mountain and here you are kind of doing new things in that. So maybe you could share a little bit about what you're seeing with our non-QM Smart program, but like how are our broker partners using it to differentiate themselves in the market? Like, what are you seeing as far as how that starts to stand out and how people are utilizing that as a new weapon in their or tool in the toolkit, I should say?
So, great question. So historically, we really had just the vanilla products, your Fannie, your Freddie, your FHA, USDA products. So I would say my core broker group, that's their product line, that's their bread and butter. So, bringing the Newrez Smart products to them, at first they were like, "What are these? I don't understand it." And I mean, honestly, it's the best of both worlds, because you get our team that's well versed, knows all of your core products, but Newrez has this vast wealth of product line that they've always had. It's the same group of people that have always been with Newrez. It's just like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. It's amazing. I always say you get the non-QM portfolio products, but from a true A-paper company. I mean, you get our great technology, you get our underwriting staff, you get our closing staff, and it's just amazing. So I see my brokers really diving into the DSCR products. They get all excited when they see you can add interest-only features and bank statement products. They're going after CPAs and asset depletion. They contact their investment partners that refer customers over, because you can use assets as income. You don't have to deplete all those assets. So they just really take it all of these pieces. In addition, Newrez has a great marketplace marketing platform. We have all these non-branded flyers. So we give flyers out so that the broker partners can go out there and market for that business. There's media, little clips for social media that you can use. There's flyers, there's just ideas. So yeah, it's great. I do really think that it just goes together so perfect.
Yeah. And when you see the brokers or loan consultants that are having the most success right now with the smart, do they generally have like an action plan of how they're going after specific markets, or is it more that they just have an eye to identify the opportunities that fit best in non-QM from their existing flows? Are you seeing any kind of patterns there that people could learn from?
So I think that it's more of just an extra tool in their toolbox that they don't have to be afraid of,
Mhm.
is what I'm finding because I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have said, well, gosh, if it doesn't fit in this box, I usually just refer it to the local credit union because I don't really understand the products. And so then when I talk them through the process and it's not scary at all, because they're afraid of going down a path that will then hinder maybe some additional referral sources because you don't want to burn your referral sources. So when I take them down the path of how the process actually works, then they're at least a little bit less apprehensive until they actually do the process, and then they're pleasantly surprised. So
Right.
but I can't say anybody's intentionally going out looking for a bank statement loan. It just sort of organically happens because you then view the taxes and see that the bank statement loan would be a more appropriate fit for the borrower.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Um, well, I mean, one of the things we're kind of talking about here then is just complexity, or at least the perception that people get, nervous about non-QM and all the documentation, income documentation and whatnot. And you've mentioned our scenario desk and some of those kind of things. So all of this speaks to the fact that that partnership with ops that we talked about. So for yourself, having the volume of loans that are coming through you every month, and the interaction you have with partners and operations, how do you manage that relationship? How do you make sure that it's kind of the best that it can be every day, and gets things to close?
So ops they're my right and left hand. I just adore every single one of them. I know everybody here at Newrez we're focused on the same thing. It's broker experience, it's borrower experience, making good loans, of course. And I truly do. I try to let the process work through. I try not to interject myself too fast because most of the time, any escalations or differences of opinion or questions can all be resolved. I think that if you interject yourself too fast, then you also lose your effectiveness. So,
Right.
if I call an underwriter, it's because I've let the process work through itself before I jump right in to solve something. So, and hopefully ops appreciates that. They're an A plus. Any of my broker partners, I think they would agree with that. So
Yeah.
communication is top notch.
Gosh, that is such a great point about not jumping in too early. I think everybody, for all the right reasons, we all want to be a hero. We all want to, deliver the best service, but at the same time, as part of a team, people need to be given the chance to do their job. And part of that almost feels like, as a football fan, it's like, or even any sport, really, they always talk about the fact that you got to have people work together for a while so that they or play together for a while so they really understand each other, and who's going to get the ball, when to pass, what people's tendencies are. And there's a little bit of that in what we do as well, of getting to know, hey, there's a rhythm here, and I need to let this person kind of run this out a little bit because it's going to work out, but I'll jump in when I need to and have that sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Newrez, we're set up on, to a certain degree, underwriter pods. And so, even the brokers, they know their underwriters that they'll receive. And they've worked with them. So you develop a trust. You're like, okay, if I email so-and-so, I know that she usually gets back to me in an hour. So, there's not an urgency. And like you said, you've worked with the same team. So the play will play out, and then you know when to escalate. So
That's right. Yeah. Um, Okay, so switching gears again on you a little bit. You listen to a lot of podcasts, so you hear a lot about leadership. We know leadership's important, and really at the end of the day, everybody's a leader at some level. I mean, you're helping lead people through the process. You're helping lead people through how to think about their business, all these kind of things. So, on that topic, who's the best leader you've ever worked with, and why? Like, what did they do for you? What did they inspire for you?
So I've worked with a lot of leaders over the years, and I would say the best leaders are the leaders who manage globally, but then also have laser focus on each person's different weaknesses and strengths. It's easy to just globally lead. You
Yeah.
put out the updates, you give the goals, you do that, but then it's the laser focus that can be hard. I've personally never wanted to be a sales manager. Hats off to all of the sales managers out there. To me, it's a little like herding cats all day. You're just trying to get everybody together to go in the same direction, and meet their goals. But I do appreciate a manager who can manage somebody who might have different needs and strengths, that have been in their career for, over 30 years, or versus somebody who's just starting in sales. Maybe they're coming from ops, maybe they're coming from
Mhm.
different backgrounds, and trying to really just build that broker base and build your sales. So, I mean, those are two completely different needs, from a sales manager, and somebody who can manage both of those people. You have a great sales manager. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think part of what you point to there, like I said, is yes, strategy and global messaging and communication is important, but at the same time, I think for people to really have confidence in a leader, they have to believe that they actually understand what they're seeing every day, that they, can get into the front lines and talk to customers or understand what the weaknesses and the strengths are of the system to be able to support you when you need those things. And yeah, that's been my experience as well. And I think, I think you would agree, that's what we look for in leaders at Newrez as well.
Absolutely. You have to have you have to have walked through the trenches, so to speak, to be able to, lead somebody and know what they're going through in the trenches. And then, specifically adjust how you're supporting them, because you really, and my current manager at Newrez, he's amazing. He knows how to support everybody at their different stages of their sales career, and where to push somebody and where to push maybe somebody a little bit harder than that. And but then globally gives, the company's goals and direction, and what we all need to concentrate on. So
Yeah. Shout out Johnny Mac. Um,
shout out. Had to get it in there. He's great.
that's right. Um, so you mentioned at the beginning, so I'm not saying anything, I'm not disclosing anything that you haven't already. We both started in 1992.
Did we
Um,
really?
yes, so we both remember faxing in pre-approvals, and
Yes.
we've that I can remember when I started in my first office, like I'd never seen a fax machine before. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Um,
Yes.
so so point is, we don't do a lot of faxing anymore. What
No.
Oh, when you look over the course of your career, kind of what's the biggest, most impactful change that you've seen, in the business over these years?
Oh boy. I mean, just thinking back to, when brokers they'd fax in their locks, and, it'd have to be time stamped for price changes, and, the fax machine had run out of paper. I mean, it's just pure craziness when you think about it going back. I do remember the day that the sales manager told everybody about this new device we were all being given. It was called a BlackBerry. And she said, you'll be in a broker's office and you could actually email an underwriter. And I'm going to tell you, our minds were blown. I was like, what? How does this even work? I'm not even understanding any of this. And so, just the evolution of that. And AI has just come in now. I mean, for me personally, maybe in the last 6 months, and I can't even imagine where somebody's just getting in the mortgage business today. If you look forward 30 years or so, what I cannot even imagine what AI will do to this industry, how it will shape it, reform it, make it better. I just think that right now we're almost on the verge of another, BlackBerry type of a thing with the
Yeah.
AI that's just coming into play here. So, but for me, the BlackBerry, my mind was blown. It was like you seeing a
Yeah.
fax machine.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I remember the first BlackBerry, I remember my first cell phone, all those things. So yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. For a while there, only the rich people had cell phones. I'd see them in their car, and I'm like, wow, they must be like an oil tycoon from Texas or something, because who has a cell phone in their car? So,
Right.
oh, but yeah, no, all the good things. And now, you can't even leave anywhere without a cell phone. But
Right. Yeah, and you bring up AI, and to your point, I can remember when we rolled out our first online pricing tool
yeah.
years ago at a prior company, and I remember the account executives were just like thought I was the devil because that wasn't my project, and that I was gonna, everybody was gonna be put out of work because what are we gonna do now that we don't have this? And so, and obviously that didn't happen. People became more efficient and more productive, and you kind of hear some of that right now with AI. You mentioned, where is that going to take the industry? And people are, I think there's some people who are afraid and some people who are excited about it. And you sound like you're excited about what it's going to do. So, how do you think about whether it's AI or just, the value that Lori Churs creates, no matter what technology does, because of who you are and what you
Right,
bring? How do
right.
you look at that?
I think that AI will just make us better. Maybe I'm being Pollyanna over here, but I still think it's a people industry. I still think getting a mortgage and owning your home, I still think it's a very personal experience to go through the process. In the old days, or back in 1992, they'd be like, at some point the loan officer is going to go away, the underwriter is going to go away. I don't see that at all. I actually think that will be needed more than ever, because while the AI is a tool and automated underwriting is a tool, you still need people. It's a people business. People want to do business with people. So I think it will just enhance everything that we do, maybe make it easier, faster, more efficient. So I'm excited for it.
I am too. And the more I dig into it, the more I, like you say, get excited about how it can um free us all up to spend more time on the people stuff, more time,
Right.
getting to know people and what they really need versus trying to figure out why this thing won't work right or whatever. So,
Right. How to get a
yeah.
spreadsheet to add correctly. Yeah, yeah. Who,
Right.
who has time for that?
Exactly. Right. So, not to put you on the spot, but I know you're a goal person. You always have new things that you're shooting for. So, as you think about 2025, can you share like kind of what your top, 2, 3 goals are and how you're going about achieving them?
Oh boy. So, one of my top goals this year is to not only stay top of production in fundings, but I would like to also be top of all of our non QM products in production. I know that's a company goal. So, it's a goal of mine to be top in non QM. And so, just keeping up on my trainings, making sure it's in every conversation, it's in marketing. I'm holding classes for brokers, even if it's just one-on-one, that's one more person that's trained. So, just aligning my focuses with my company's focuses usually always wins. And so that's where I'm at this year, is just trying to be top in fundings and top in our non-QM products, which are amazing.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's really smart, aligning your goals with the company because that's kind of going with the flow. You're going to get the resources, that's
Yep.
what people are going to be talking about anyway, so go with that and maximize it. Um And so when you think about all the things that you're gonna do you have a system for yourself? Like, hey, every Sunday night I sit down and say, here's my goals and these are the things I'm gonna get done this week to achieve that. How do you kind of operationalize achieving goals?
Well, I do, but by Wednesday it's usually thrown out. I at least try to have some sort of idea of what I'm going to do for the week. I usually try to get my marketing emails set up over the weekend, and have those pre-planned out. Then I try to have meetings set up whether it's for a smart product or a down payment assistance product, or, whatever we're focusing on at Newrez, brokers love jumping on my calendar. It's like, hey, let's get on a calendar. Let's make a date, because phone tag, I mean, to me, phone tag is the worst time suck that there is. So, make an appointment, have a time, let's get on the calendar, 3:30, I'll call you on Tuesday. And so I try to have my calendar pretty filled up with phone calls. And then in between is when I'll just work on the, normal escalations of emails or whatnot. But, I try to just, if you have your day planned out with meetings, in person, on Teams, on Zoom, however that's going to work, then usually you can have those accomplished because they're there. They're concrete. You can't just say, "Oh, I'll call you later." And so that sort of keeps my week focused.
Yeah, being intentional with your time. Okay, so we've covered a lot of amazing things here. So if I'm new to the industry, or I'm a salesperson who hasn't broken through, what would be the two or three things that you would suggest to kind of, raise your game? What are the most important things that have worked for you, or that you would offer to others?
Well, first of all, don't give up. Starting back in 1992, I never thought I would be in the industry this many years ago. Don't even want to add it up, 33 years later. So just don't give up. There's been a lot of times where I'm like, what am I doing? Especially in sales. I spent so many years, driving around, making my sales calls. It was dark, it was cold. I'd pack my lunch. There's nothing glamorous about it a lot of the times. We every month you can see your name in lights as being a top producer or whatever, but then the 29 other days of the month, it's the grind. So just stick with the grind. No, it's not glamorous. I used to joke with sales managers who would come ride in the car with me, because I would also pack them a lunch. I'm like, we're not stopping. You get a Diet Coke and a sandwich that I packed for myself. I made you one, and we're just going. So you just have to, stick with the grind. And also, I think I alluded to it earlier. There's no school of mortgage. It's just on the job training. And every new loan officer or new AE, I always tell them, it's really the school of hard knocks. Just don't go to that class twice, learn from your mistakes, and move on. Just check it off. Like, okay, I just learned another lesson. I don't have to learn that lesson again. And, there's always something new to learn and work through. So just keep with it. And the very last thing is, try not to move companies a lot. I promise you, the grass is not greener. You don't find out the weeds until you're there. And so just try to stick it out with your company, be known for being stable, consistent with that company, and work through it. Because in the end, your brokers will appreciate your stability. They know where to find you. They know what you're about, and it'll come through in building your relationships. So.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I've never heard that phrase, and it's gonna be living with me for a while, about go to the school of hard knocks, but don't take the same class twice.
Just
That's
don't.
really, it's so powerful, because it's true in that mistakes are fine. Just learn the
Yes.
lesson. Don't get down because something didn't work or something happened, whatever. I mean, just extract the lesson, and like you say, don't go back to that class twice. You
Nope,
move on.
just don't. Exactly. And almost be excited, like, wow, I didn't know that. I know it now. I don't have to learn that lesson again.
That's
So,
right. Yeah, and I will say, even from a relationship and partner perspective, nobody likes when things blow up. But I think
no.
I say all the time that, look, I mean, when we get the occasional survey that's not exactly what we wanted, there's opportunity there to learn from our partner. Hey, why didn't it work out right? What can we do better? And if we show them that we took the interest in it and that we actually fix it, that relationship can be even stronger. And so we shouldn't
Absolutely.
shy away from the fact that we make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. We just have to get better from it.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, we've talked about the fact that you're a perennial President's Club qualifier. You are a leader on our weekly rankings that we do all the time, and I never tire of pointing it out, how great you are. So, personally, what do you think makes a great salesperson?
I actually just took them off my computer so I could show you, but I have four things and I
That
keep
is
them
awesome.
taped to every single computer that I've been assigned over the years. So it's accessibility, it's communication with various means, visibility, and knowledge. So those are of all of the things, that's what the brokers are looking for. And so I try to remind myself that. So if you put little notes on your computer to smile because you're on the phone and people can hear a smile, just different reminders or cues, but just to remind you that that's what your brokers want. They want you to be accessible. They want you to communicate with various means. So maybe you're emailing, maybe you're texting, you're a phone call, you're making a bomb video. But they want the knowledge and they want visibility. They want to see you and grow with you in that. So that's just
So,
what I've
okay.
always concentrated on.
All right. So I gotta say, so powerful that you still have it taped there. You could probably say those four things in your sleep, but you've got them taped to your monitor because you're never gonna forget and be consistent. And also just how timeless that is. Those four
It
things are
doesn't
still
change.
absolutely. I wouldn't argue with any of those, based
No.
on the things I see from great AEs every day. That is awesome. All right, Lori. Well, any parting shots here before we call it a day?
No, I'm just excited to see what what 2025 brings. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. It was. Thank you so much. And until next time, everybody, have a great day and make it happen.